Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ask Adam. In this particular episode, we're looking at turning failure into fuel. Every lesson moves you forward, not a setback. Hello, and welcome to the Ask Adam podcast. Many people think that Ask Adam is an inquiry to ask me questions. My name is Adam, and I am your host. I do accept questions. However, the ASK is an acronym for Always Seek Knowledge. One of the things I've found in many years of living this life and many experiences and businesses that I've been in is I've always been after seeking knowledge, whether it was learning more about what I was participating in or just understanding some of the whys and hows things happen. That being said, I found it, I don't think we ask ourselves enough why. I don't think we seek knowledge per se, and we seek more entertainment. That's kind of where I got the idea to have a little bit of entertainment as well as learning a few lessons along the way and having some fun. I mean, why not? Life shouldn't be completely serious, should it? Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, click like or subscribe, as we're always looking to share more information with more and more people looking to think, live, and act as we do, which is living our best life and being the best at what we do. Let's get started. A little bit about myself. Several businesses that I've been in have given me the experience as well as, let's just say a pretty unique lifestyle growing up and the lives that I've lived. Several of them, in fact, working vaguely on my fourth to fifth career. And I feel like there's quite a bit of information that is certainly worth sharing. Valuable as it is, you be the judge. Turning failure into fuel. So how can we do this? Failure often seen as a dead end, but in reality, it can be powerful. It can be a catalyst for growth. When you treat setbacks as a source for insight rather than a sign of defeat, you ensure that each new endeavor starts from a higher level of understanding. Now let's look at this roadmap together as we turn failure into fuel for future success. Who's with me? First of all, we need to reframe our definition of failure. It's not a verdict. It's not the final verdict. Recognize that failing at a task doesn't make you a failure. It simply means that you've discovered one way that doesn't work. We all know the story of Thomas Edison. He was the inventor of many things, and he also figured out many ways something didn't work. It wasn't by failure, it was just understanding what worked and what didn't. And each time he learned that a specific something worked, he took notes, wrote it down, saved the example. That example, on top of another example, on top of another example, created some of the greatest inventions that Thomas Edison ever came up with. And I'm sure it's the case with any other inventor who has created something, small or large, that they too learned and grew from learning as well as from failure, which was only a lesson learned. Embrace mistakes as data. Just like scientists view an unexpected result as valued data, reframe the mishaps as lessons that you learn that help you pivot towards your next move. You know, it's interesting, each time that we would launch the space shuttle or rocket or something up to space, you know, NASA, they planned and they trained and basically simulated this event many times over. And they learned from simulation that certain things would happen, certain things wouldn't happen, how other steps needed to be in place. It's not necessarily a failure or catastrophic fallback from something, but it's also by practicing and doing something, we start to see and observe that there's gaps in our process. And then we begin to fill those gaps through our experience. Where pretty soon all the gaps are filled, and we're now basically transversing on a smoother surface without gaps, without those setbacks. And then our lessons are learned more in other ways. So extract these lessons, reflect and analyze. After each setback, ask yourself what went wrong, what factors were within your control. Certain things are outside of our control, and we need to understand what they are. And if it's something that we can manage just not ourselves, who can we designate and delegate to take care and manage that aspect of things? Quite frankly, you can be in business for quite some time and not necessarily be successful until that one opportunity of learned growth all of a sudden creates that opportunity where you may act different or do something different or go out on a limb based on knowledge understood to say now's the time to do something and be prepared and ready to make that action. And now all of a sudden you've catapulted your business. How did that happen? Because of growth and mindset from learning other lessons. Break down the situation and understand which elements you can improve or adjust. Again, this is things you can control. Things that you can't control, you can apply the same thing. Figure out how to adjust what you can't control. Again, identify growth opportunities, as I just mentioned. There's often a hidden skill gap or knowledge deficiency revealed through failure. Maybe you need to learn modern ways of social media and how to get your message out. A simple weekend course or a several week course of learning the ins and outs of marketing and how to put things in place and understanding what SEO tags and whatnot as far as the internet world could quite frankly change your business. You may have the greatest message in the world, but if it's not getting out to everyone through the highway known as the internet, and you're just on the side streets, well, that greatest message in the world is just not getting out to everyone. And quite frankly, isn't that who you want to share your information with? Everyone. Then when you know what's missing, you can now focus on bridging that gap. You can do it intentionally, with purpose. Start from the lesson, not from scratch. Remember, we're building from experience. Apply insights from your past attempts so that you don't repeat the same mistakes. Every new try kind of becomes a new opportunity to refine strategies rather than reinvent the wheel. I understood many times in business, personally, where just rephrasing a sentence or asking a question, in engaging my client to ask themselves the question rather than just stating, this is what I can do for you, I would then put in my correspondence, what if? What if is pretty big, and it can apply in many cases. So for instance, when selling insurance, I found the what if statement was a lot more profound than did you know? Or I'm surprised you don't have this already. So you're already kind of coming from a different mindset. So as you start to craft and change your conversation, as you change how you see the perception of the individual you're speaking to or marketing to, this all of a sudden is a game changer. So don't look at setbacks as failure, look at them as learning opportunities. By using more of this intuitive approach and test feedback. Again, you may not get feedback, but just the fact that you're not getting anything from an action is still feedback. This helps us refine our process, and then each cycle begins with us being a little bit closer to the right solution, thanks to lesson learned previously. Maintain a growth mindset. Remember to celebrate your small wins. Acknowledge the incremental improvements. Even if you really haven't reached your ultimate goal, you're still moving forward. Pat yourself on the back and smile. Remember, this is what we do to remind ourselves that we're on the right path. We're doing the right thing, and we're having success through the process. These moments of progress will also help fuel your motivation and confidence. Don't forget to stay adaptable, recognizing new challenges and twists, they're gonna arise. Keep your mind open to learning continuously rather than sticking to a rigid single approach. You know, I found this kind of important, especially in the early 2000s with the advent of the internet and building my real estate business. I had to start learning about social media. I had to start learning about social marketing. I had to step away from the old mail a letter or send a postcard. People were now on social media. They were just starting to engage at this time. So presenting a picture of a home in a neighborhood was actually a lot more than saying, hey, have you considered selling your home? If they saw that the Jones's house down the street was for sale, and they would engage and say, oh, I see, they're finally selling, or what are the, what's the price of the house? And that usually started the conversation of, oh, what's my house worth? That was just simply from a social media post of a picture saying new home on the market or new listing in a certain neighborhood, and having past clients that were following me socially. Again, it was sort of the infancy stages. It's made leaps and bounds since then. But whatever your business is, having it in that space and learning about social media or learning about networking is going to be big for your business. So keep your mind open to learning than necessarily sticking to, well, this is the way that I've always gotten my customers. I agree, absolutely true. You need to now start to implement new things and new strategies that are going to continue getting your customer base to follow you and to know that you exist. And I'm sure that you're still providing the same great service and the same wonderful product for years and years, and you get rave reviews from those that are participating in your product and service. However, if you want to continue to grow in your business, you're always going to need new clients and customers. And in order to reach those clients and customers, you might have to do a few extra things. Again, not saying that what you were doing before isn't working, but you can't necessarily rely on that being your only tool for, let's say, marketing. So you really kind of have to let your tentacles, let the roots of your business begin to grow with expanding a little bit of that market share. Don't forget to leverage support and feedback. Seek mentors and peers, as I've always mentioned, to help maybe innovate and understand some of the new dynamic changes that might be in your business. Share your experience and lessons with the supportive network. Again, they're not your competition. You're actually collaborating together. You're not sharing secret recipes. You're just sharing strategies for the new innovative ways that people are now seeing and learning about businesses. I'm not real popular on the TikTok scene, but I do understand that, quite frankly, that's where a lot of people are. So if your business is dependent on clients and customers, I really have to think you need to be on TikTok if you want to be even known that you exist. The old-fashioned billboard on the side of the road's just not making it anymore. And mail flyers to people's residences just doesn't work. Cold calling doesn't work. There's several things that just aren't going to build a business anymore. And so we have to learn to adapt and learn to know what these other opportunities are that we have available to us. Quite frankly, some of them are free, some of them have a cost, but honestly, the fact that you don't know about them is already detrimental to your business. As well as the constructive feedback from those individuals and your customers can help provide some of the blind spots, make you aware of where you can spark some of this innovative marketing ideas. I like to collaborate with my mastermind, brainstorming with them. I've safe, I've I've faced the same setbacks and not understanding that there are tools and things that are out there. It's constantly changing. Things that I've almost gotten kind of set on and understood that, okay, this has helped developing my client base, all of a sudden isn't there or isn't as effective. So you need to get several tools out there at play. Remember that you're not coming from beginning. You're not always getting set back to the end of the line, if you will. You know, I wasn't ever fond of the statement, one step forward, two steps back, because it just seemed like, okay, if you're taking one forward and two back, you're never gaining ground. And I think it's really a misstatement. Quite frankly, you're taking two forward and you may take one back. But each time you only take one back, but two forward, you're still gaining a step. Can you picture this? Right? So I think somewhere in that translation, that statement got mixed up. Because no matter what you're doing, whether it's personal growth, business growth, whatever, each time you learn a lesson, each time there's a slight setback, each time there's a aha moment in your life, even personal, you're still coming from that point of knowledge, not from not knowing anything, which would be the proverbial two steps back and going back to the beginning. So let me be clear. We're always taking two steps forward and we're only taking one step back, in which mathematical case and physical case, you're always taking that additional step forward, and that is growth. I want you to picture that in your mind. I want you to see that physically in your steps. Try it a few times. Find some open space and take two steps forward. Now, if you happen to have something small, even a handkerchief or a towel, and set it in that location, right where your feet are. Just set it there. And then I want you to take a step back and take two steps forward. Take a step back, take two steps forward. Do this 5 or 6 times. Hopefully you have another towel or a tissue or a napkin or something. And I want you to set it next to your feet. Now, again, hopefully you're in a room where you can do this, preferably a hallway. And I want you to take one step back, two steps forward again, and do this 5 or 6 times. And then set something next to your feet once you've completed it. Now, once you've exercised this step, and we've done 3 increments of 5 to 6 of these exercises of 1 back, 2 forward, I want you to look back and see that you should have 3 articles on the floor and they should be roughly spaced almost the same distance from each other. This is called progress. This is called building from the learning point. Can you picture this in your mind if you're driving or unable to physically walk down the hallway and set things next to your feet? I want you to always remember this. I want you to always see this visual as anytime there's a setback, it's just something you set on the floor. Because you are going to have a series of smaller setbacks that, quite frankly, you're not even going to notice. They're going to be small little setbacks that just kind of take you out, but because your mindset and your positivity and your gratitude and your gratefulness and everything that's already going on, you almost don't even see that small step back. It may even be just a moment where you stop and take a breath, maybe a moment where you stop and take a lunch. So it's not really a setback. It's just a step back, breathe, move forward. Step back, breathe, move forward. You're putting yourself in a relaxation state and then you're ready to move forward. I feel this is tremendously profound which is why I want to focus this episode a lot more on that visual. Yes, there's so many things that you can do, but this visual, I've done several times with groups of people, and I've done them with individuals that just don't see success in their life. And once I show them this exercise, it's profound. It changes everything, how they see it. Now, it sounds a little silly, but if you perform this exercise, I think you'll see that you're still moving forward and you're still coming from a place of growth. Remember, each thing that we set on the floor was a setback at one time. Each time we set something on the floor was a segment or a period where we stepped back, put something on the floor, then took 2 steps forward, then took a step back and 2 steps forward, step back, 2 steps forward, step back, 2 steps forward, step back, put something on the floor, 2 steps forward, step back, 2 steps forward. Remember, we were at a setback. We went back. We experienced a failure. We set something on the floor and we made a mark. Like I've always shared, when we learn something, write it down. When you have a profound thought, write it down. That's either a step forward or a step back, but you'll find that several steps later, you go back and read that and go, oh, wow, that wasn't really a failure. That was just a pivot. That was a lesson learned. And once you start seeing this almost in a habitual form, as I always say, and Uncle Tony, is life's happening for us, not to us, as you realize these setbacks may be just a momentary break, a time to breathe, a step back to get a better perspective. How many times have you looked at something and then stepped away from it to get the bigger picture, to see a little bit more in the peripheral, to observe everything in front of you, to really capture in what it is that you're looking at, whether it's a landscape or your business or an opportunity or a challenge. You know, when you look at all of the components to a challenge, it doesn't seem as big because you've stepped back. But then once you understand some of the opportunities available with this challenge, you're now making those 2 steps forward and seeing some success and moving and striving forward. You take that personal opportunity to take a breath, say, you know what, hold on, I need to take a break. I need to step away from the work environment and just go for a walk or do something. You know, technically speaking, that is a step back because you're not performing forward, you're not working, you're not striving, you're doing something away from what you're supposed to be doing. But that 1 step back is also a very healthy activity. It may be stepping back to go meditate. It may be stepping back to tackle that challenge the next day because you've kind of run out of day and ideas and you need to reset. That's self-care. Is that failure? It's stepping back. So when you have true setbacks, where you take that step back, remember, kind of put something on the floor, put a marking post, if you will. Take a note, write it on a calendar. I have a spreadsheet that I every year I keep track of things. It's part of my 3 things to be grateful for. You may have seen it in the podcast. I know the template's available on the website. 3 things to be grateful for. And I go to it every day, as well as I have various charts of things that are important to me that I mark down. And if there's something that was a challenge, I have a note section where I'm like, hey, today was a tough day. I had a win. Today was a great day. And I put that down or if there's a particular event that I do repetitiously, I might just put a number, a 1 or a 10. And then I look at the end of the year, and if I have 365 ones, it means I was really good at sticking to that task and doing what I was supposed to do. If I don't have 365 numerals in that square at the end of the year, then I know I've let myself down a little bit. It's a great measuring tool. It's not a setback, it's a point of learning and understanding and seeing. And so that the next year, I'm going to focus more on doing that. I think the gratitude chart is extremely helpful. Not only do you challenge yourself to be grateful for 3 things, but you also challenge yourself to put that information in and to keep track of it. One of the things I keep numbers is, my energy level and my mood. Am I in a good mood? Am I feeling healthy? And when I see that I may be putting a lower number, than I'm not feeling in a good mood or not feeling healthy, I have to say, well, what did I do previous that would have me in a bad mood or not feeling healthy? I keep track of my sleep. I think sleep is extremely important. Lots of scientific studies about sleep, and we can get into that in another episode. But again, having a bad sleep night isn't failure. It's just reminding me, how much sleep did I get? Did I stay in bed like I was supposed to? What did I do prior to bed that I was either supposed to or not supposed to do? Again, it's not from failure, it's from lessons learned. And the more I've learned those lessons, the more important I've considered and looked at the situation of when it's time to go to bed. I take that seriously and not just, oh, I need to relax and I need to be on social media for several hours and then realize I've been up for a very long time and I really need to get to bed because I have important things to do tomorrow. You eventually learn sleep's important and you make that a priority, just as your health is a priority, just as you being in a good mood is your priority. And writing in your journal of gratitude is a priority. And once you start putting these things as a priority, again, those are your 2 steps forward, 2 steps forward, 2 steps forward. So you're always coming from that point of learning, not from that point of failure. By embracing failure as a teacher, and I have the heart of a teacher, you transform setbacks into stepping stones towards your goals. Each lesson learned becomes your new starting line, propelling you forward with great clarity, skill, and resilience. Remember, the true mark of progress isn't avoiding mistakes, but using them to propel your journey to the next level. So if you found this episode helpful, propelling your life to the next level, putting things into a new perspective for you, for your personal life, for your business life, for your megapreneurship, click like or subscribe. If you know someone that would benefit from what we've talked about today, that would help them in their personal and business life, share this link with them. And we look forward to sharing this knowledge with them as well. Remember, Ask Adam. Ask is not specifically asking me questions, but is an acronym for always seeking knowledge. I hope this episode has brought you a wealth of knowledge and that you go out today and make it a great day. Thanks again for subscribing,